Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon public hearing. On behalf of the member of the Standing Committee on Executive Appointment and Investigation, we would like to welcome Governor David Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendola's representative, Ms. Joanna Aquino, along with Amishai, the appointees, Mr. Mark O. Rabalaman, and Ms. Elsie Tilipodas Rebano, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we proceed forward with this public hearing, let me first introduce the member of the Standing Committee. To my right side of the aisle is Senator Jude Yu of Senator and the Vice Chairman of this committee from the 2nd Senatorial District. And next to him is Senator Manny Castro from the 3rd Senatorial District. And to my left side of the aisle is the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Dauno Manglonia from the 1st Senatorial District. And next to him is Senator Ronnie Kauvu from the 1st Senatorial District. And I'm the chairman of this committee, Senator Francisco Q. Cruz from the 2nd Senatorial District. I would also like to announce a couple of things in the interest of informational purposes regarding code of conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members of this standing committee is conducting a public hearing on the appointments of Mr. Mark O. Rebalaman, representing the 3rd Senatorial District, and Elsie Tilipodas Rebano, representing the 3rd Senatorial District and the Caribbean community for the Commonwealth Election Commission. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support or oppose the appointee before us this afternoon. We value your input. However, any comments beyond the facts of the appointee or comments that are not related with this public hearing will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimum noises in disrupting this hearing process, and please turn your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. This public hearing is now in session. Today is November 21st, 2025 at approximately 1:26 in the afternoon. Here are the Vice Speakers whose Pimoknas Memorial Building, Capitol Hill, Saipan. This is a public hearing regarding the appointments of Mr. Mark O. Rebalaman and Ms. Elsie Tilipodas Rebano by Governor David M. Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Dennis C. Mendola to serve as members of the Commonwealth Election Commission. Ms. Jolene Tagobel will be assisting this committee, and the Sergeant at Arms will be Mr. Ben Terlahi. Our social media will be LJ Castro, and in charge with IT is Mr. Jonathan Diaz, and our legal counsel will be Jorbo Moody's, and will all serve accordingly for this public hearing. At this time, do I hear a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, take it back. Ms. Tagawa, can you please call the roll?
Senator Ronnie M. Cabo,
Present.
Senator Manny T. Castro,
Yes, yeah.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz,
Here.
Senator Judy Hochschneider, Senator Karina L. Magofnia, Senator Donald M. Manglonia.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, 5 members are present, 1 member is absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tagawa. With 5 members present, we have the necessary number to proceed with this public hearing. However, the Vice President of the Senate, Ms. Karina Magofnia, is excused. At this time, do I hear a motion to adopt our agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Does a motion for the adoption of this afternoon's agenda was seconded?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, why nay? Motion carries. At this time, I would like to ask Sergeant Terlahi to please escort the appointees and the governor's rep into the chamber. And ma'am, before you do your introduction in regards to today's appointees, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Francisco Cruz. My name is Joanna Kino, and I am representing the Office of the Governor and the Lieutenant Governor. Buenos Hafa and good afternoon, Chairman Francisco Q. Cruz and the honorable members of the EAGI Committee. For the record, again, my name is Joanna Kino, Special Projects Coordinator under the Governor, Office of the Governor. On behalf of the Honorable Governor David M. Apatang and the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Dennis James C. Mendiola, I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Elsie Tilapau Ribuenog and Mr. Mark O. Rebelliman, who has been nominated by the Governor and the Lieutenant Governor to serve on the Commonwealth Election Commission, representing the 3rd Senatorial District. By this time, you should have their resume showcasing their professional experiences and educational background. Governor Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola have expressed their complete trust and confidence in Ms. Tilapau Ribuenog and Mr. Rebelliman's ability to serve on the Commonwealth Election Commission. We are confident that they are well prepared to answer any questions you may have and present their vision for the future. And we kindly ask for your expeditious approval. Thank you, Suzus Maasi, Zengilaso, for the opportunity to introduce them to this august body.
Thank you, Mr. Kino. And before I recognize the two nominees to present any testimony, I would like first to ask both of you to please rise so that our staff can administer the oath. Please raise your right hand.
Mark O. Rebelliman and Elsie Tilapau Ribuenog, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. You may take a seat. Thank you, Ms. Tagabel. And I know both of you have submitted all required documents by this standing committee. But if you have anything else that you wish to share, I will give you the floor. But before you begin, please state your name for the record. I'm going to start with Mr. Rebelliman.
Tiro Mehafadei. Good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. First, I would like to thank our Honorable Governor Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola for this nomination. I am humbled by their vote of confidence, and should this esteemed committee mirror the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's sentiments, I stand ready to serve and contribute to the board. Chairman and honorable members, Olumai and Suzus Masi, for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rebelliman. Now I would like to recognize you, ma'am.
Honorable members of the Senate, Faisho and Tiro Wami, I am honored to be nominated by our Governor David M. Apatang, our Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendiola, to serve on the Commonwealth Election Commission Board of Directors. I'd also like to extend my appreciation and thanks to the Executive Director, Mr. Felix Nogues, for submitting my name as a nominee. I have dedicated my career advocating on behalf of individuals with disabilities at the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems Incorporated, otherwise known as NMCL. I believe that everyone should have a right to vote without facing barriers. In my role as Programs Manager, our Executive Director, Gregory Borja, and I have trained the Commonwealth Election Commission staff, board members, and poll workers on the principles of the Americans with Disabilities Act. My goal is to ensure that there is accessibility in all of our elections. If I am confirmed, I will continue to push for better accessibility in all of our elections. And Olumai, Suzus Masi, And thank you for considering my nomination.
Thank you. Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Elsie Tilpao Robuenog.
Thank you. And before I recognize the members of the general public that are in the gallery that wishes to deliver testimony, whether you're in support or not, first I would like to recognize that is on my list that are invited. The Commonwealth Election Commission Executive Director, Ms. Kayla Igito. Is she here? And anyone from that office that is here to represent? You can come forward. If you're going to represent the office, I'm also going to recognize the Board of Election members.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Honorable Francisco Q. Cruz, members of this EAGI committee. I am Benwat Chitaiskan, the Outreach Coordinator for Election Commission. I will be offering testimonies both as a private citizen and as a professional citizen from Election Commission. Mr. Chairman and members, as the Outreach Coordinator for the Commission, I am here to express my strong support on the nominations of Ms. Tilpao Robuenog and Mr. Rebalman. The credentials of these individuals speak for themselves, and I am confident that they will bring valuable skills and dedication to the board. Along with my speech, sir, I have testimonies of support from our Vice Chair, Mr. Jose Kiyoshi, and Acting Director Ashley, both in support of these nominations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taisakan. Now I would like to recognize members of the Election Commission. Any member of the Election Commission? Board of Director?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Senator Francisco Q. Cruz, Chairman, EAGI, and the Senate Committee EAGI members, Mr. Mark Rebalman, Mrs. Elsie Tilpao Robuenog, family members and friends, and honored guests. I am Susan Babalta, Chairwoman of the Commonwealth Elections Commission. I am pleased to announce that I am in support of the Governor's nominations of Mr. Mark Rebalman and Mrs. Elsie Tilpao Robuenog to the Board of the Commonwealth Election Commission. On behalf of the Commonwealth Election Commissioners and myself, we thank these two individuals for accepting this nomination to become a part of this important commission. I have reviewed information that constitutes why these individuals were nominated, and I am confident that they will be valuable additions and assets to the Commonwealth Election Commission, who will uphold the integrity, responsibilities, and goals of this commission. In detail of each candidate, let me begin with Mr. Mark Rebalman. As he stated in his professional profile, he is passionate about improving the living standards of the people of the CNMI in partnership with the public and private entities. Mr. Rebalman demonstrates and possesses a strong commitment to providing services to the people of our Commonwealth, while he served in many different professional capacities in the public and private entities, and combined with much extensive experience in leadership roles and board member commitments. These experiences are important to collaborate amongst other commissioners and foster growth in the Election Commission. As for Mrs. Elsie Tilipo Robuenok, she stated that she is looking forward to obtain a position with an organization that will utilize her experience and capabilities and provide an opportunity for continued achievement and growth. Her continuity with one organization of 25 years is a milestone for any person in their professional capacity. Since the Election Commission was established, it is as strong and important as ever. Hence, the commissioners who are a part of this endeavor continue to refine and collaborate the problem solve to make this board a lasting one. Continuity speaks highly of effort and willingness to achieve greater things. Mrs. Tilipo Robuenok and her dedication and expertise in her field is a grand plus to the Commission, especially for diversity needs. Together, Mr. Rebolaman and Mrs. Tilipo Robuenok, through their demonstrated leadership, dedication, and collaborative spirit, make them an excellent fit for this role. I highly recommend Mr. Mark Rebolaman and Ms. Elsie Tilipo Robuenok for commissioner membership and believe they will bring a wealth of knowledge, integrity, and enthusiasm to this team. Thank you for considering my endorsement. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chairman Babalta. Any other member of the Election Commission that wishes to deliver testimony before I recognize the general public? No one else? At this time, before I recognize the members of the general public in the gallery that wishes to deliver statement, again, I would like to remind everyone that any comments that is raised that are not related will not be entertained, and such comment will be removed from the record. At this time, I officially open the floor for public comment. Anyone, you can come forward and present your testimony, but before you proceed, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Tiro Wanofade, Chairman Francisco Cruz, and honorable members of the 24th Senate Executive Appointments and Government Investigations Committee. For the record, my name is Valentino Taiscan Jr., Mayor of the Northern Islands Municipality. I am honored to provide testimony in support of Ms. Elsie Tilipo Robuenok and Mr. Mark Rebolaman to the Commonwealth Election Commission representing the 3rd Senatorial District, which includes Saipan and the Northern Islands. I have known both nominees personally and professionally. Their resumes, which I trust you have received, reflect their distinguished careers and commitment to public service. Mr. Rebolaman, former Secretary of Department of Commerce and Special Advisor to the Secretary of Department of Public Lands, brings extensive leadership and policy experience. Mrs. Tilipo Robuenok, Program Manager for the Northern Marianas Protection and Advocacy Systems, offers expertise in advocacy, community engagement, and program management. Both individuals bring knowledge, fresh perspectives, and innovative ideas that will strengthen the Election Commission in conducting fair and transparent elections. I encourage them both to review our election laws and regulations to identify areas for improvement and modernization. With that being said, Mr. Chairman and members, I fully support the nomination of Mr. Rebolaman and Mrs. Tilipo Robuenok to serve on the Election Commission Board. I respectfully urge this esteemed body to confirm their appointments without delay, ensuring the Election Commission is equipped with capable and visionary leadership. With that, si Diyos Masi Olomay Janhiliso.
Thank you, sir. Still open for public comment.
Good afternoon, Honorable Senator Francisco Q. Cruz and esteemed committee members. Tiro mehafade. My name is Juan Diego Tiro Bueno, and I am here today to respectfully convey my full support for my wife, Ms. Elsie Rebueno, in her nomination to serve as a member of the Commonwealth Election Commission. Ms. Rebueno has demonstrated a long-standing commitment to public service, advocating tirelessly for our Manamco and working diligently to protect the rights of individuals with disability. She has consistently upheld the values of integrity, fairness, and accountability throughout her professional and community endeavors. Her extensive experience and unwavering dedication uniquely qualify her to contribute meaningfully to the Commission's mission to ensuring fair and transparent election within our Commonwealth. I am confident that her sound judgment, impartiality, and collaborative approach will further strengthen the Commission's capacity to safeguard our electoral process and maintain public trust in its outcomes. I firmly believe that Mr. Bueno's appointment will reinforce the democratic principles upon which our institutions are built. Therefore, I respectfully urge the committee to give favorable consideration to her nomination. Olomai Suzus Mosi, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rebueno. Still open for public comment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of this distinguished body. My name is Felix Nogis. I'm here on behalf of Carolinian Affairs. I just want to affirm my unwavering support for both nominees. I know them personally. In regard to Ms. Tilpo Bueno, in her tenure with NMCL, she has advocated for the rights of our special need population and have fought and worked with the Office of Election Commission in ensuring the rights of our people and to be accessible on all the election precincts so far as voting is concerned. In regard to Mr. O'Baliman, as you know, with his resume, he has held numerous management positions within government and has performed outstanding. And both the records would speak for itself that they have a resume that is impeccable so far as their experience, and I'm sure they will bring positive changes in their effort in being a member of the commission itself. With that, I solicit your support, and hopefully it will become a reality, and I'm sure they will make a significant contribution to the effort of the commission. Again, thank you. Zusmasi Olomai.
Susmasi, Mr. Nogis. Still open for public comment. Anyone else in the gallery? Once we close public comment, we will not go back to public comment. So this is the opportunity, to come up and deliver your testimony. Thank you.
Hafade and Tiro, Chairman and members of the EAGI Committee. My name is Ashumar Kodep Ogumra Uladong, and I am here in my personal capacity to offer my support for the two nominees, Ms. Tilipao Rabuenok and Mr. Rabalaman. I won't speak too much to their credentials or capacity, as I'm sure you've received that information. Although I do say I'm very excited that we have, this is, I think, a milestone for us in the Rafalawash community, seeing as we have two buibuis sitting here, appointed to the same commission. So it's absolutely a wonderful time for our community. With that said, and in anticipation of their hopeful confirmation, I'm very excited to see a representative who has worked tirelessly with the special needs community of the CNMI. It's a community that I myself, in my new role on the CNMI State Board of Education, have come to learn much about and have a lot of respect for and recognize challenges that that community faces. And more importantly, the access that they need to this right to vote. And I look forward to Ms. Tilipao Rabueno working to ensure that that access is further enhanced in her role on the commission. As for Mr. Rabalaman, I've had the honor of working with him professionally as the Secretary of the Department of Commerce, and during my time as the Director of the Office of Planning and Development. We partnered very closely in various priorities and projects, and namely the creation of the latest comprehensive economic development strategy for the CNMI that came out in 2019 following Super Typhoon U2. And it was through that experience, as well as the many other collaborative roles and partnerships we've played both in the Rafalawash community and the general community. I've known Mr. Rabalaman as well to be very sharp and competent, and with a vision that ultimately seeks to enhance the livelihoods of our people here in the Northern Marianas. So again, I'm very excited for their appointments by Governor Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Mendiola, and wholeheartedly and without hesitation offer my support for their nominations, and I look forward to a successful confirmation for these two individuals. Thank you very much, and good day to you all.
Thank you, sir. Still open for public comment.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and members of the Senate. My name is Marco Peter. I'm here on my own physical capacity. I believe it's actually exciting to have multiple Carolinians or Rafalawash in the election commission. But I believe that you can see with the resume, it speaks for itself, and I'm confident that the skills that both Elsie and Mark have, it'll be addition to fairness with the election process. So I'm here in full support of their nomination, and as Mayor of the Northern Island says, we shouldn't delay it, and we just speed up the process and just confirm them immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Still open for public comment. Anyone else? If no one else, I would like to ask Ms. Yolin to disclose any submission of letters, whether in support or not in support.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Mr. Abalaman, Ms. Tilipao Rebuenuk, and members of the general public, in addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointments of Mr. Mark O. Rabalaman and Ms. Elsie Tilipao Rebuenuk to serve as members of the Commonwealth Election Commission, please be advised of 12 additional written testimonies officially received in support of appointee Rabalaman from the following: Esther Milne Komatsu, President, Milne Incorporated; David R. Maritita, Director, ABTC Division, Department of Commerce; Lorna O. Ignoyev, personal testimony; Melvin L. O. Faisal, Senior Advisor and Cultural Practitioner, Udali; John S. Blanco, President, Mount Carmel School; Vin Armani, President, Trade Council of the Marianas; Ed Ariola Jr., Vice President, Micronesia Benefits Administrators; Chris R. Sablan, personal testimony; Kevin Bautista, personal testimony; 62K Gusomar, Secretary, Department of Public Lands; Owen Chalame, President, CNMI Comorali Association; Felix R. Nogues, Executive Assistant, Carolinian Affairs Office. 2 additional written testimonies officially received in support of appointee Tilipao Rebuenuk from Lorna O. Ignoyev, personal testimony; Felix R. Nogues, Executive Assistant, Carolinian Affairs Office. And 4 additional jointly written testimonies officially received in support of both appointees from Susan R. Babalta, Chairwoman, Commonwealth Election Commission; Jose P. Kyoshi, Commissioner representing Tinian, Commonwealth Election Commission; Ben Watsi and Taisakan, Outreach Coordinator, Commonwealth Election Commission; and Ashley B. Bornilla, Acting Executive Director, Commonwealth Election Commission. At this time, no written testimony in opposition of the appointee's nomination has been received by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Tagabel. At this time, I'd like to recognize the member of this standing committee, whether you have question or concern in regards to the 2 appointees. First, I would like to recognize from the 3rd Senatorial District, Senator Castro.
Thank you, Chairman, and welcome, Mr. Rabalaman and Ms. Tilipao Rebuenuk. First of all, I just wanted to thank you for your service, both of you, to our community. I also wanted to thank the Election Commission and the staff for their customer experience. Just as a voter and also as a candidate. All times it's been smooth, whether it's off island or on island. But at the same time, I also wanted to, given your Ms. Rebuenuk, given your background in assisting persons with disabilities and your specialty, I also wanted to ask, once confirmed, if the board can also look into some of the process in terms of application and streamlining it. So I think in terms of convenience and access, for example, for when our Manomko go to apply for their senior citizen ID, we can attach some kind of affidavit or check mark so that they can seamlessly apply. Also with our social services like food stamp, if we can embed the application process so that way we can reduce the burden on the staff for double entry. But then at the same time, every year I notice when I would purchase the report, there's a lot of duplicate entries in the some of the listings. So on my end, and the committee's end, there's a lot of cleanup that needs to happen with the data. So when confirmed, if the committee can also look into streamlining the data cleanup process so that it's not too burdensome on the staff as well. Other than that, I just wanted to thank both of you for your service to our community. It's reflective in the testimony, but also in the resume submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Now I would like to recognize the, the Vice Chairman, Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. Thank you, everyone, most especially our nominees, Mr. Rebalaman and Ms. Rebueno. Welcome to the Senate. I wish to also express appreciation for and gratitude for allowing yourselves additional responsibilities in your along with your full-time duties in the community. Speaks a lot of volume with your testimonial. I know Mark from a long time, for a while. Mr. Lipao, I appreciate your advocacy also in what you mentioned earlier in your. I just maybe just I wanted to hear from any of you. Obviously, the election process can be, you know, all these during election, we're always waiting for the results, right? And it takes us almost all night and all that. But I know that the staff, which I tip my hat off to them and the board, are working through with that. But just that in itself, how do you think we can shorten that element there to which the results can be made sooner rather than what we've recently experienced? I mean,
if I may, Senator Hofschneider, we are entering the world of technology, and I believe that if we invest in technology, that will really help speed up the process with regards to, you know, the vote, tallying the votes and everything. I'd also like to take the opportunity also to a lot of it is educating our general public, training and education, training with regards to our poll workers, staff, and the community, as well as educating the general public on their rights to come in and exercise their right to vote. But I know we are in hard times when it comes to our financial responsibility, but if we do, you know, set aside funding to purchase technology device, it'll really help speed up the process. Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Rebueno. Mr. Rebalaman, you want to share your thoughts?
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon. I just want to second her sentiments, but in addition to that, I'm sure the current board members have laid down the groundworks, and maybe it's just hopefully with our confirmation, we can assist them in overcoming whatever hurdles that they're currently facing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. Also, this is a more, because it's been talked about over with previous conversation with election nominees with regards to the 50+1 requirement. Many of us in the community, when I say us, meaning just the general understanding, is saying that perhaps we can tweak some of the requirements of that, but it is a constitutional mandate. In order for it to be changed, it needs to be amended in the same manner it was created, and that's basically the general public, you know. But do you think that it's time to seriously revisit that and at the same time fulfilling the objective of plurality, you know? I mean, I'm sorry, majority versus, you know, plurality. There are some jurisdictions elsewhere in the State of the Union where they have similar communities. I haven't really delved into it because it's just so many, but I wanted to ask you guys, is this something that you think it's right time that we can start considering tweaking that and making do without it, primarily on the chief executive level? I see Mark is smiling.
No, I was just about to say, Senator and to all you honorable senators. I think there's always an opportunity to explore standing laws, depending on the dynamics and our environment. So I don't have a straight answer, but I believe through working with the other members, if it's something that they've engaged in, that'll be something that we're open to, that type of discussion.
Perhaps if we conduct a community assessment in terms of what they choose, it's always I go with the consensus of the community.
Correct, and that's good. Thank you for mentioning that. Allow the stakeholders to speak for it. No, you can get guidance. And last, my other question is with regards to, I'm looking at the statute. Just allow me a few. This removal of names, re-registration, and particularly on number 7 of Code subsection 6206, Title 1, Division 6, 6206, removal of names. If the individual did not vote in the preceding 2 general elections, a person who vote, then I guess that constitute a removal from the list. So, and again, there's a subsequent provision on the bottom. Beginning 6 months prior to an election, the Commission shall register electors at such time and places within the Commonwealth shall deem advisable and convenient until 50 days prior to an election, and the Commission may deputize volunteers, so on and so forth. I would like to think that that's kind of like the provision that's going to allow someone to re-register. Unless I missed it, but trying to find it. What would, so let's say, for example, I haven't voted in the previous 2 elections and I live, but I want to maintain my voting rights in the CNMI. In your opinion, should I re-register and should I continue voting? I mean, especially if I'm a retiree or I'm a service member, from the CNMI. Is this something that we should continue having them access to making a decision here for us in the CNMI, or should we encourage or discourage them and just, and if you choose to live somewhere, it's kind of it always comes up, so I wanted to ask what your sentiment is. I mean, if you're not comfortable delving it into, that's fine, but I'm certain that the administration of the Election Commission can have a lot of information with regards to that. But that's something that comes out every election cycle. It's absentee, and then sometimes it's they fail to vote, but they want to come back and vote. Is that you think we should allow them? I mean, Ms. Roberno, you're.
We've forgotten the fight it took, the hardship that individuals went through with the Civil Rights Act to ensure that it passes and everyone has the right to exercise their vote. I think it's time that we revisit that in educating our public and reminding our public that people died to fight for the right to vote. Women, most especially, and individuals with disabilities facing barriers, right? So in my part, I play, as programs manager, I play a big role in terms of training and educating our public on their rights. I focus more on individuals with disabilities and the Americans with Disabilities Act, which falls in line with our Civil Rights Act. If I were to be confirmed, I would really take part in educating our general public that, it took lives of people fighting so that we have everyone, including women, people of color, individuals with disabilities, have the right to exercise their vote. And I believe it's really important for everyone to come out and, even though we've lost touch, I believe it's important that everyone should come in and exercise their right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberto. It's an open question. Mark, do you wish to answer? Okay. Well, that's
I'm
fine.
good, Senator.
Thank you. I am totally impressed with the level of, your credentials and your willingness, primarily. I want to thank you for being here this afternoon. And when the time comes around, we'll, hopefully soon, we'll make that determination and bring the committee up to, the nomination up to the full board for this position. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to yield my time for now. Thank you, Mr. Rebalaman and Ms. Rebuenoc for your time today. Good afternoon, and I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Snyder. Now I would like to recognize Floor Leader Manglonia.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Balaman, Ms. Dilipo Rebuenoc. I just wanted to start off with some basic questions. Are either one of you registered with any party currently? Sorry, can I get a verbal response into the mic, please?
No.
No, Senator.
Have you been a member of any party in the last 10 years?
No.
No, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Just based off of that question and based off of your voting experience, do you have any initiatives you think you would like to try to propose if confirmed as a board member based on how things were conducted, based on how things can improve, just as you being a member of the community and having voted in here in the CNMI? Is there anything that you would like to see differently or improved within the voting process?
If I may, Senator, I think as a voter, as you stand outside, there's always things that we can see and under the palapala say things that, hey man, these things can be improved. So I think if and when we are confirmed, because I sit here and I believe that the current board and its makeup, I'm sure these are things that they've continuously discussed. And, just circle back again to technology. And I'm sure that the board members, these are something that are at the forefront. So that's why I'll refer back to when appointed, I'm sure that there's a ton of discussions that needs to be had in terms of the improvements that the board members have discussed, and with our addition, hope to get them over the hump. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that can be done, but sometimes the decision really comes down to funding. So, but I guess we'll see once we have that opportunity to have the discussion with the current members. Thank you.
Mr. Bueno, anything you would like to add to that discussion? Just based off of your voting experience, anything you'd like to see differently maybe or improved?
At one point, the access to voting was an issue, but we were able to work closely with the Commonwealth Election Commission to ensure that the curbside voting was in place, as well as individuals who were not able to come down to the office to register in person, that they were able to be given the opportunity for somebody to go into their home or the hospital or even the prison to ensure that they are able to register to vote. Thank you.
Thank you both for your responses. If I may just kind of go off of Mr. Avaleman's statement, I think you know, a lot of times there's these discussions that take place for the board to consider, but I think based off of the last 3 elections that I've participated in, right, there hasn't been much changes to the ways we recommend improvement on the process. I know you mentioned that a lot of times the decisions come down to funding, but I also think there are ways in which we could also save in terms of funding. Senator Castro mentioned simplifying the registration process to maybe collaborate with the agencies that issue identification cards. I know in the U.S., right, there are some states where when you apply for a driver's license, there's an option to automatically register you as a voter. I know that's the case in Washington. I know that's the case in Oregon, where a lot of our voters had issues in the CNMI because they missed that option, or they missed that automatic registration into the Oregon system if they apply for driver's license. And so those are some ways in which I think the CNMI can also adopt or mimic. And so I hope that that's something, if confirmed, you know, that discussion can continue within the board, but also that I think there are several recommendations that we've brought up in prior hearings of commissioners who are currently sitting in the board, in which we haven't really seen much progress with, or maybe it's still something that is being discussed and addressed. But issues like the registration process by mail, I've just, while you both were giving your introductions, I just quickly glanced through the administrative code to see if there are any changes in the regulations. But for something like registration, it's still a mail-in request or an email request. There hasn't been any changes with online registration, and I think that you know, currently there's a system to register online for absentee, but there's nothing, I think, for just regular registration. There's also the concern that was brought up about voters on Rhode and Tinian having to mail in their registration, not being valid or allowed, given the fact that there's no physical office for the Election Commission on Rhode and Tinian, and so they would have to try to schedule with a commissioner whenever they're available to register. But you know, if there's an option for them to register by mail, just drop it at the post office. I think that would help make it easier for people in Rhode and Tinian. And while I do know that you represent, or you will be representing, the 3rd Senatorial District, that's a discussion that can be made as a body, right? Another thing I wanted to also point out is that not a lot of people realize that the Election Commission not just deals with the election process, but they also manage the NMD registry. I think that's something that also should be looked into in terms of how do we get more of our people registered if they're not on the list or even identified as NMD, and that could also be something that the commission can work with these agencies that issue identification, so that it could be, whether it be labeled in their IDs or driver's license, that they are NMDs, just so that we have records of our people that are NMDs, right? Because oftentimes a lot of the newer generations, they move off island and then they they don't come back as often, or we don't see them for some time. And so if ever they were to pass, there's no record of them or their lineage, and how one can be able to determine whether they are NMDs for the purposes of owning land, for that matter. But I think those are some of the stuff that I hope can be addressed as we get more members into the commission with both your confirmation. Another issue I want to bring up, or even get your opinion on, kind of piggybacks with Senator Hofschneider's question about the 50+1. Are either one of you familiar with the ranked choice voting, or in other terms also known as instant runoff voting? Are you familiar with those terms?
No.
So the way it works, and I think if I'm not mistaken, and this is allowed in Alaska and some other states, where rather than going into a runoff, on the ballot they have a rank voting of a position, right? Like, let's say for the gubernatorial seat, there are 4 candidates that are running, and so they rank the voters based on their preference, like who would they choose as number 1, who would be number 2, so on and so forth, and then use that system to select the top 2 or something to that effect. I think it's something that needs further review and investigation, and hopefully that's something that the board could consider and adopt, or even propose as legislation, so that we limit the expenses on CEC to conduct a runoff election, or even get rid of any concerns when it comes to the runoff period. You know how that takes a couple of weeks after election to host another election, and any possibilities of coercion or anything like that that takes place between that time. And so I hope that if that's something that the commission agrees with and would like the legislature to continue or consider amending the law to allow for that, I hope that it's a proposal that can come from the commission, so that that's something we can consider. And then also I would like to piggyback on Senator Hofschneider's statement about the voters who have been taken off the list because they've missed 2 elections. I think if I may recommend that in the event those situations occur, that the commission can also verify that they're still not registered in other jurisdictions, and hopefully remain on the list, because there are several cases where a lot of the times our voters don't get the ballots on time, or they do mail it out on time but it doesn't get into CNMI in time, and so they just take them off the list if they've missed more than 2 elections. We've even have instances where even our residents here in the CNMI have failed to vote in 2 elections, and so I think it's just a matter of whether or not we would like to allow them to remain voters in the event they do want to exercise their right to vote in future elections, and because I think it's much more difficult to try to get them to re-register, right? Or And so I hope that a lot of these issues can be addressed. Again, for the past 3 elections I've been involved in, and many of my colleagues have been involved in, there hasn't been much changes to the processes. So I hope that with both your confirmation and initiatives that you would like to propose with the rest of the board members, that these are stuff that could be addressed, considering the fact that we have less than a year left before the next election. And if it's not addressed in your time there before the general election, that we can expeditiously work on it for the proceeding elections. And so at this time, I've reviewed both your resumes, Mr. Balaman. I've had the opportunity to work with you, even though briefly, during your time in the administration and from the prior legislature. Ms. Dilipa Rivanov, based on the testimonies that were shared today and your work with your organization, I think both of you are well suited for the job, and I hope that if there's anything that we can do as a legislature to assist your responsibility and role within the election commission, I'd be more than happy to advocate for and help your initiatives push through. Like I said, it's been 3 terms where we haven't really seen much changes to any statute or changes at all, and so anything we can do to help make the process easier and smoother for people, I'd be happy to support. But mainly the NMD registry, I think that's something, again, oftentimes when we do appropriations or call in even the Indigenous Affairs Office, right? No one can really give us a definite answer of what the population is for our NMDs. And so I think even with the Election Commission, if we ask them what's the true number of the population of NMDs, there's no definite answer with that. And so I hope that this is something that we can really narrow down and close the gaps in how what challenges there are in trying to get our people registered. And I think BMV is a great vehicle to do that, because we all have to renew that every few years. And so I hope with your collaboration with BMV and even the municipalities of Rototini and Saipan, where we get our identification cards, that's something that could be worked with. And so once again, I thank you both for your commitment to wanting to serve on this board for free. I know election time is it could be a very stressful time for our commissioners and the staff at Election Commission, and I wish you both all the best. Thank you. I yield for now, Chairman.
Thank you, Floor Leader. Recognize Senator Kovu.
Thank you, Chairman. And I'd like to welcome the 2 nominees, Mr. Mark Robalaman and Elsie Tilipa Rebonot. I know I mispronounced this not too long ago. Yeah. Webrong. Can you pronounce that again? Just for Rebueno. See, so smooth. And our Refollow family, thank you on behalf. There's familiar faces out in the here in support. We'd like to thank you all for joining us today, and thank you for your patience in regards to the committee earlier. Just taking a look, 12 written testimonies. We have some powerful key, Refollow and Carolinian families that are high stakeholders in the community and business, entrepreneur, and so forth. I'm pretty sure that Elsie probably knows my background. I see some familiar faces in the backdrop here, and I welcome them all. In regards to you representing, Northern Mariana's posse, and me knowing I was a prior special education teacher, not to be biased or anything, that ADA compliant, equal access, and I've been seeing, because my first experience in an election platform and
from a candidate's point of view. So, you know, just knowing the different facets and the registration, like all the former senators were mentioning, there's a laundry list of you know, things that we need to, like Mr. Reboliman said, it's been on the platform, just placing those issues and concerns on the table and trying to overcome them. You know, when he was speaking about NMDs and the registration and the number system, I remembered my personal experience where U.S. mainland family members, you know, were trying to get registered, and they had to, like, let's say if they get their driver's license in the U.S., they're automatically you know, registered in the state, and then they have to do some sort of process in order to relinquish that entitlement and register. I mean, they are continued registered voters for the CNMI. So, you know, that's one experience that I came across, that you know, things happen. And then the big debate whether who's eligible or who's not, how many years have you stayed in the mainland versus, that conversation was brought up. I'm pretty sure once you get with the board and everything, those things will pop up. I'd like to commend you. Thank you also the Governor, David Apateng, and Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendiola for bringing two credible, you know, you guys have prestigious resumes and testimonies in the backdrop, and the years of experience with your profession currently and coming into this. And also I think I just like to write footnotes. I'm thinking of, you know, a technology world where everything comes into tech, but then you're looking at cybersecurity and ensuring that the data is monitored and tracked. And especially those that, you know, long and behold, those that are deceased, I think an issue that was brought up to our attention is the flip, you know, like they have to come in and surrender their death certificate to certify that they're no longer on the board, and some are questionable, like, okay, you know, they could be living during the election, then passed, you know, so that just to ensure the records are on the right track, and we don't get those that have been deceased, but for some reason they revived and they're voting again, you know, that concept. I don't know. I'm not saying it's in the CNMI, but you know, it's in the air, you know, but let me see. You know, you are the voices, especially those in the curbside voting. I did witness that when I went to vote in our Rhoda municipality, and we do have a lot of voters when I do the home-to-home, you know, as a candidate at the time, and a lot of them are at awe because they've never had, you know, someone go out in the remote corner of, you know, the island and touch bases with them, and they are willing. And of course it's in not Carolinian but Chamorro, so I have a translator as well communicating with the Manamco, but he or she is very, you know, touched that we care. You know, we have a lot of unaccountable voters still out there, and with this movement in accessing even transportation, whether it's the candidate themselves or the election board, we're going to need that community support to ensure we get, you know, everything in driven for. So every year is a continued improvement for that. But I thank you. I know I see Commissioner, our mayor also, you know, a lot of familiar faces, and I thank you all for that support. And we look forward to our Carolinian partners joining in the fight for, you know, equity and advocating for proper votes and to tackle some of the issues that we're faced with. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Kobu. And before I raise questions or concern, I would like to, if no objection from the members, I would like to invite Ms. Florence Ablon from the Commonwealth Election Commission to give some update of the election office of the due process.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just here recently getting confirmed last year before the election, and I hear the same questions from Senator Manglotnia and the others, Senator Hofstadter, and I just, since we're here, might as well answer some of your questions. A lot of the recommendations, Mr. Manglotnia, that you brought up during my confirmation hearing, we already worked on it, or I did a lot of research with the US and worked on it. We have a bill ready. We approved to submit a bill to amend the election law because it hasn't been amended for years. A lot of it has been worked on by the previous board or the board members, except for the ones that was brought up during my hearing, which I submitted, and out of the 5 that was brought up, 4 was approved by the board to include. The problem was I've been lobbying with the Senate and the House. I thought that we could submit it. I brought it up to the House or some of the members, and I asked if they could schedule a meeting, a one-time meeting, invite some of the senators, because election's coming up. Time's too short. I mean, I've worked with lobbying legislators. I'm sure Senator Cruz remember me from my past boards. I use a lot of my experience in those boards to help the Board of Election. An example right there, I didn't know. There's nothing in the law that requires Carolinian board members. Nothing. And I was surprised because both boards I know require Carolinian because we have Carolinians in our community. So we went out and asked Ben to recommend to Mr. Nogues, and because we have vacancies for Saipan, submit names, especially from somebody whose family is from the Northern Islands, since there's 2 vacancies or 3 vacancies, which they did. So that's something that I think the law should be amended. Most boards have that. Second, the rank boy that Senator Paul Manglotnia brought up. I did a lot of research on that. I always have to think how it's gonna cost, the cost of starting something like that. And I brought it up to the board and I recommended maybe not, now it's not the time because the costs. But one of the things you brought up, I remember, was online registration. Like she said, let's get on with the trend. When I went over the law and the bill, we are so behind. We have so many people living in the mainland. We also have to remember we have to accommodate these voters. Or another thing that we discussed is how long should we allow them to domicile in the mainland? If they've lived there over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I think, and a lot of people who brought this out, we should be concerned. Should they be making decisions for us when they've been gone for so long? Of course, excuse military or medical. So see, these are some of the things I wanted to answer your question, Senator Manglotnia, since I'm here. It seems like the response I'm getting for some of the politicians is that it's gonna affect our election, because a lot of the people I talk to are running. But I'm sorry, I'm very outspoken. I'm sure Ron remembers me as a Red Crosser when I used to go to Rhoda, and congratulations. This bill is to also help the voters, not only for you who are running. And I'm sorry, but I'm gonna be outspoken, okay? Let's amend it. Time is short before the gubernatorial election. And I know why they're hesitant. But don't think of yourself. Think of the voters, the young generation. That's why you're here, right? So let's do something about it. I'm very disappointed with the people I talked to because I already talked to them and they were very agreeable. But now I guess they realize that, oh, this might hurt me during my election. Well, the amendments in that bill is not only to address you, but to address the people that you represent. So, and I remember I talked to Senator Manglotnia at one time when I met him and brought these things up. So, if you guys are willing, introduce the bill in the Senate. call a meeting with the House and discuss it. And because it's less, what, over a year? That's too short. There's a lot of amendments because it's been worked by the previous board members, plus the 4 that we included in there. And trust me, and you can look at, I did a lot of research from the US. So that way it can be addressed when there's questions. I know how it is lobbying with the Senate and the House with the previous boards I managed. And that's how I do it. I introduce a bill, lobby with everybody so they know what's going on. So when it's introduced, you know, you guys are aware what's in there. So thank you for the Chair Cruz for allowing me. I just wanted to address some of the questions that's up there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You make me sweat because that's a huge to make that huge decision. But I like that. Maybe perhaps you're right.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to save time. Since I'm already here, might as well answer some of the questions. I know that Senator Manloña is concerned because he brought up the same questions during my hearing.
I appreciate that. Can you just
Sure.
stay put? Because I think floor leader wants to raise a question. Floor leader.
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate your response, Commissioner Sablan. I was gonna, after all the members were given their opportunity to ask their questions during the first round, I was gonna address, because both you and Chair Babauta are in my line of sight, and so I didn't want to make it seem like it was maybe a criticism on the commission, but more of like a recommendation. Not to say that nothing's being done, but I think, it takes time. I understand that, and I know that with these 2 nominees as an addition to the commission, things can move quicker. And I appreciate the work that the previous commission has done. And, maybe you're preaching to the wrong group of individuals, but I think that,
I think so too.
if I had seen copies of that legislation, I can pre-file it right now, and then,
And I don't know if you remember, I met you somewhere at the
Right.
store and we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
And if I had copies of the bill in my email today, and I think that that's something that is beneficial or
You
would
know,
simplify the
reason
process.
I was just sitting back there trying to control myself because I was just like, this is driving me nuts. It's been there so long. Nothing's been done. And, I don't know if you remember, my brother was a previous director. So I asked him questions and this and that. And I was like, are you kidding me? We're in 2025. And that's, it needs to be amended because we're so behind. And we have thousands of voters in the states, right? And I really appreciate all those things you mentioned, but I don't know, because it might harm you during election time. Come on, it needs to be amended now. So I think it should go through. My term ends next year. I guess I replace a vacancy. Former Governor Arno, when he appointed me, he knew about my background because I amend a lot of regulations and laws for my 2 boards. And so he asked me, Flo, I need your help. Help the board amend. And so all the board members knew. And that's why I went into it, and I was really working with our legal counsel, Robert Glass. It's ready. We voted for it in a board meeting. It's ready. But it's a timid response from the House.
Yeah.
So I can come and see you then.
Yeah,
right?
like you said, share us a copy. All we have to do is pre-file it. What the members do after that is on
Yeah,
them, right?
yeah.
But it's an opportunity to begin that discussion, and whether it needs to go to committee or pass first and final, that's something that we can consider. But I don't think during my time here in the Senate, I've seen copies of that legislation. So I welcome it. How it affects the next election, if it's for the betterment of the process and the people we serve, then I don't see why it should be an issue to take action on it. But again, I do appreciate, I'm not saying that the commission's not doing anything. I understand how archaic a lot of these regulations are, and from you to Commissioner Babauta to Commissioner Maritita. These are the same issues I've been bringing up during all your
Right.
confirmation hearings, along with these two nominees. And so I hope that before your term ends, that we can do something about it, or hopefully you get renominated again, and so you can continue your work within the commission. But
I was just telling the chair, I said, look, if it's gonna be like this, my term is in next year before the election, I'm out. I don't have the patience or the time to waste my time in a board that's not gonna do anything because they're scared that, oh, but that guy's running for governor and he's gonna, I think some of you know me. That's not me. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of our future generation here. I mean, why not vote online, which is done in the States? If you're not voting, register online. It's being done. But, because, you don't know who's, come on. Let's move on with the times. No? So,
Yeah.
I'm going to check you
yeah.
next week.
We have a session before the December 1st, so if it's something that's ready, it could be simply pre-filed and introduced.
And the
then,
board has approved it.
and then when it comes down to deliberation, or I can assign it to the committee that would be in charge of it, and we can open up that discussion so that we can hopefully take action before the election. But again, once it gets to the House, I don't know how they may act. But at least it's an effort made, and whether it happens this term or not, it can be recycled and reintroduced in the next legislature. But I appreciate your response to the information I've shared with the nominees, and I look forward to continued collaboration in addressing a lot of these issues. And so, please feel free to reach out to my office. You've mentioned we've met out in the public, but after that, we've never really seen physical copies or of these legislations. And so I hope that we get the opportunity to review them, and if there are any concerns that we have, we can call in the commission to work together.
Yes, and our legal counsel's also ready, because we approved it. Our thing was, it was three of us, and the chair, Vice Chair Kiyoshi, and myself. We were gonna bring it up and have a meeting, and our legal counsel will be there to answer questions. So, because it's a lot of amendments, but, okay, so.
Yeah. And it's needed amendments, and again, it's needed it's an
Yes.
amendments that are needed. Like I said, every confirmation we have this discussion, but hopefully, for whoever the next commissioner appointees may be, all of this, it will be a smooth hearing because everything has been addressed by then. And so, I appreciate you coming forth and sharing your thoughts. Again, I was going to address it because I see you and Commissioner Babalta in the audience. And so, again, thank you also for both your commitments. Again, it is going to be it is a high pressured position you're in when it comes to this period of the election process. And so thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me is that it? No more, right?
Recognize Senator Castro.
So I want to apologize in advance. Don't worry, this is not an oversight hearing. In fact, I don't think we want to oversight the Election Commission. So that's why it's just all recommendations. But Senator O'Donnell did bring up some good points. I kind of mentioned it earlier. But what you guys do is really important in terms of the way our government operates. And some of these elements that he mentioned, like, for example, the NMD registry, that's going to save the government a lot of money in terms of things like probate. Because if you're on the Carolinian side, there's a different process. If you're on the Chamorro side, there's a different process in terms of probate cases. Because there's already, like, and that, I'm not going to say who told me that, but that's a challenge that the courts are going through. Because, so with this NMD registry, we have to, synergize our efforts. In fact, maybe you might need to work with the church, because the birth certificates are all, the older ones are with the church, not with the hospital. And even that has an issue, because one of my aunties, I had to help her, help a relative get their birth certificate, and the hospital wouldn't issue it because they said you have to go to the church. But at one point in time, the birth certificate they got was from the hospital. So, but you know, this can be problematic in terms of when it comes to a lot of our issues that we're facing. So I'm sure we can link a lot of the funding sources, because we're always talking about funding, but if the request comes in and if it's something that's really important to all of us, we, you know, for every fee we can set money aside for this project. He did, Senator Donald did bring up ballots. I have a lot of family members that did say they did not receive their ballots on time, meaning by the time they received it in Oregon, even if they mailed it out priority mail, it wouldn't have reached it. So it's not a blame. I'm not trying to push blame on the election commission, but just as experience, you know, when I used to work at NMC, we had the same problems with our transcripts. So, and we didn't have much money to be express mailing all the transcripts out to the mainland. So what we did is we found a reputable and secure vendor that linked with our system. So when we print our transcripts, it prints out of Ohio and mails out of Ohio. So it got there faster at the cost of like $3 versus going to the post office and sending a priority express. So there's ways we can leverage technology but still keep our process secure. And the other question I wanted to bring up is early voting is expensive. So, and it also, it can be problematic, and it can be, people can take advantage of, people not meaning our voters, but different committees can be taking advantage of that early voting process beyond what it was designed. It was designed to help the people, but sometimes it you know, there's some challenges there. So
in the bill that we have, there's going to be amendments on the early voting, a cut of dates and all and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring, I think you probably already addressed it in your amendment, which I was gonna ask if you had it for a copy, but Senator Donald already beat me to it. So another thing is the data sharing agreement. So a lot of times we're scared to share data with each other, but we have to remember we are one government. So I said the same thing to DCCA. You know, from food stamp to child care, you guys are all under the same umbrella. So there's no reason why you cannot have a unified application or share some of those. You know, a lot of people like to cite like FERPA, HIPAA, whatever agency, but they never read the law. And that's the problem. We just cite it, but we don't read the law. So there's a lot of tools, and I know the AG has a legal counsel assigned. So let's use our legal counsel to kind of like develop a data sharing agreement so it can be easy for our disadvantaged community to some of this process. So like a MOU to streamline some of this process. And I just want to commend all of you for the work that you are doing, and just let us know how we can help. Serious Masi.
Thank you, Senator Castro, and thank you, Mr. Balaman and Rabanak. I know this is a long process, long hearing, but I ask for your patience. This is not a oversight, but I just want to see how you feel about what I'm going to share. That I received complaint from a former member of election commission during participation in the counting of the ballots. So if you are conflict for precinct 1 because you have a relative, immediate relative or close relative that is running at precinct 1, do you believe that you are conflict to be involved in precinct 2, 3, and all the way to precinct 7? I want to start from you, Mr. Balaman.
Just to be clear, Senator, so you're saying if we're on the board and we have an immediate family that's running in precinct 1, does that, you're asking our opinion, does that automatically disqualifies us from the rest of the precincts? Is that correct in what I heard? Or?
What I'm trying to say is, if your immediate family is running in precinct 1, automatic, I know that you cannot be involved because you have to stay recuse your conflict, right? But on other precincts, do you believe that you also still conflict to get involved in those precincts for any counting of the ballots?
I think I'll just make a general statement that our island is small enough that, you know, in any turn on any business or appointments, there's always some sort of conflict one way or another. But I think through lessons learned and living in a small island community, I have to believe that we all have it within us to be partial and objective. So I'm not very familiar with or relating to your inquiry, Senator. I've never really dealt with an immediate family that's running office and, you know, to be in a position to be counting ballots. But as a personal note, again, I believe that we are objective enough to do our duty for the rest of the precincts.
I believe there's policies, election commission policies that are in place that have check and balance with regards to our impartiality when we are counting ballots, and we should be bias-free.
Thank you, but I know that you guys are just, just been nominated, but I was hoping for no different answer, but like I said, this is not an oversight, but if it's an oversight, I will continue to raise that concern because it was brought to my attention. And the last one is, do you believe when the Election Commission hire a contractor of that counting machine, do you believe the contractor should be involved in the counting of the ballot?
I'm assuming that if we're contracting a contractor, their duties are spelled out, and if it's not part of their duties when you sign the contract, then that should remove them from participating in counting the ballot, unless the contract clearly states so.
I appreciate that, Mr. Rabalaman. Ramano?
I'm in agreement with his answer.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions to ask. I just want to address that because it was brought to my attention. And any other member? All I ask, Mr. Rabalaman and Mr. Ribanok, if you are given the blessing by this body, I ask that you review the previous election result or decision that the commission, conclude, or either there is a complaint that is still pending, and I ask that you participate in reviewing those matters and get it resolved rather than, the more that we don't receive complaint by this confirming body, the better for us, and we don't want the general public to not have confidence in us whenever we we give our blessings for any board or commission or appointees by the executive branch. So we're relying on the people that we give our blessing to, to deliver the best and fair services to our community. So again, thank you for your commitment. I know this is not a paying job; it's all volunteers, and I appreciate, contributing your time to help our government and the members of the general public. This is Mosi. At this time, all public comments were taken. Let the record reflect that all written testimonies will be included in the Senate Standing Committee recommendation report, along with oral testimonies, and will be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation. At this time, before we adjourn, I would like to extend on behalf of the members of this Standing Committee our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Governor David M. Apatang and Lieutenant Governor Dennis C. Mendiola's representative, Ms. Joanne Quino, along with Amy Shai, the appointees, Mr. Mark O. Rebalaman, and Ms. Elsie Tilipao das Rebano, and most especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important hearing process. And we certainly hope that we continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public to keep you abreast and informed of our current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to public best interests. This concludes this public hearing for today. Do I hear a motion for adjournment? There's a motion and was seconded for adjournment. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is officially adjourned. Jesus Masi.